Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
And
I'm going to open the show with this song. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Return of the Sith. Return of the Sith. I've been listening to, do you know what song it is?
No.
Return of the Mac all day long. And all I could think to myself was, instead of Return of the Mac, just put Sith in there. Add a little high ground. Add a little high ground.
You're going to be so disappointed I don't know that song.
I really am not surprised. It's a really good song, though.
Okay.
I'm really not surprised because it's a really good song.
No,
That's how that kind of sounded.
That's not what I said. That's
it's not what you said. But
it's what you intended. We all know.
No. No.
It's okay. Tracy and I, as Rush fans, we're used to it. People give us that kind of heartache all the time. Oh, you're Rush fans, so you don't like good music, which isn't true.
Yeah.
But I like Rush, so
I know.
Which is why we love you.
Yes.
It's the only reason why they keep me around. I mean, she does this and this and this, but she likes Rush, so like we should give her like a 53rd chance.
Anytime a woman admits that she listens to Rush, then we're like, okay, you're cool.
Yeah.
You're around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was until I met you two.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was like this thing that women don't admit to. Like, I just was like, that's really good music. I didn't know that it was a thing. So
yeah.
I gotta send you guys, not to get too off topic here, because we will talk Revenge of the Sith, but there's a.
I mean, we still have 10 more minutes of off topic time.
What
are you talking about?
There's a YouTuber who is a vocal coach, and she listens to different music and then reacts to it in real time. And recently she was introduced to Rush through Spirit of Radio and Tom Sawyer. And she's got some really interesting things to say about the music. And she's picking up like the time signatures and all sorts of stuff. And she's like, listening to this, you'd never guess that they're going weird time signatures, but there's time changes all over the place. So yeah,
it's crazy. I like probably Spirit of Radio a little bit more than Tom Sawyer. I know Tom Sawyer's their big hit, but I think they've got so many other cuts that are much better.
It's overplayed a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that I've heard a Rush song before I started working at the planetarium,
right?
But I didn't recognize, because I had to listen to it at least once a night every time I worked the laser show. That I was like, and then we got the rock band.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I was like, oh, I like so I would like always pick a Rush song for rock band, but then I would be with the nerds over at the planetarium. And so maybe that's why I was brought into the love of Rush in this very supportive community of nerds that they just didn't know, like, you know, to them it was just whatever.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, what is this music?
This is cool. I like this.
I started, speaking of weird music, I started listening today to a little bit of Blind Guardian. Do you know them at all, Tracy or Val? They're a metal band from Germany, and
Dave probably knows them.
He probably does. I mean, they're not like huge name, but I think they're big enough that if he's familiar with metal, he probably knows Blind Guardian. But they did an album a few years back, like 10, 20 years. That's a few years now.
Yeah.
That was all based on Middle Earth. It was Nightfall on Middle Earth.
Oh my gosh, I listen to this album all the time.
Do you really?
Dave listens to it, and every time he turns it on, he waits for me to start going like this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it sounds like pirate music, but it's so great. And so we're in the car, and the song just rotates in like a song from one of their things.
Right.
And then he just kind of side eyes me, and then I realize what it is, and then I just start going like this. He's going to be so excited that you brought this up. I don't know who they are. I never pay attention.
Well, I started listening to their album again, Nightfall on Middle Earth, because somebody had mentioned that they have a new song coming out that's based on a book character that I like from Brandon Sanderson, Kaladin, from The Way of Kings. And so I was like, so they're just super nerdy. I mean, like if you're basing songs off of like deep Middle Earth stuff and like Way of Kings, Stormlight Arc, you're a nerd. And I think that's awesome. And I love it. I love it.
Okay, literally, I do have to say this though, and this is way off topic from our other off topic. My computer is telling me that there's high pollen in the air. Like there's this thing at the bottom of my screen that's like red. It's like high pollen. I've been looking at it for 2 days. Have I yet to take any kind of medication for it? No. I'm just ruining my nose all day long. Sorry.
And you even know why. Like, you know why you're ruining your nose. Because of the pollen count. It's not even like,
I told Dave, I said, we're talking about the Nightfall and Middle Earth music. And he's like, Blind Guardian, exclamation point. That's the band, exclamation point. And I said, yes, that's the one. We're talking about your pirate music.
That's funny.
So really quick, before we jump into the movie, Val, you've seen the new Top Gun Maverick, right?
Yeah.
No, just real quick. How many, was it like an open screening or was it critics only?
No, this was a public screening for like winners and stuff.
Okay, because I went, they had an IMAX. You're okay, we're not excluding you.
Well, no, she said it was for winners only. I haven't seen it yet, so obviously...
Like radio, like contest winners. And
I know.
critics.
I knew what you meant, but I had to. It was just.
I know, but I was like,
yeah. And then you were saying winner, yeah.
So I've seen it, and you've seen it.
Yeah.
Who hasn't seen it?
Okay.
No, but I have to say this was such a smart move from Tom Cruise and the producers to not release this on streaming. Like they held on to this for several years until COVID had calmed down, even though it's still raging, but.
This is an IMAX movie. This is a movie that you need to go see in the IMAX theater.
It was so much fun because all these people were like leaning forward throughout the whole movie, and I was totally thinking of Val, and people were like fist pumping and like cheering, and it was just. I'm like, this is the theatrical experience that I've missed.
Yeah.
This is the movie that is made for the theater. Sorry, Jake, go ahead.
100%.
No, I that's everything I've heard is that it's really great. I haven't been able to go see it yet this week because our evenings are super crazy busy with
you have
kids stuff. Man. Yeah. And it's the end of the school year, and so everything's getting crammed in at the last couple of weeks. But we're going Saturday morning. We're going to see it on IMAX.
Nice.
I'm really, really excited. So
do we get to do a Top Gun like old and new episode, like maybe at the end of the month, like give everybody a chance to see it, and then we can talk about both movies?
Yeah,
we could. We'd have to call it like Sock Puppets 2 or something like that, since that was the original.
Sock Puppets is one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. That one just kills me.
If you want to hear us talk about Top Gun, the original Top Gun, that is the name of the episode. I believe it's like episode 22. It's one of our earlier episodes. Yeah. And then when you find out why we call it Sock Puppets, we're sorry.
You'll find out. But it's crazy because Val, we both went to film school, and like the cameras were so big back then, and now you can get an IMAX. You didn't
not have to for me.
Oh, really?
Oh, you're a lot older than me.
We shot like old TV. Wow.
You set yourself up. You set yourself up for that.
Into that. Absolutely.
Sorry, go for it.
But I'm just thinking, like we had the over the shoulder, like the old school news cameras, like that's what we learned on.
Yeah.
And now they're like taking IMAX cameras and putting them inside a cockpit of an F-18.
Yeah.
To film these actors while they're being flown around. It's insane.
Yeah.
I thought I had heard it was all filmed on an iPhone. Is that not the... No, that was something else, probably.
No. We kind
just
of
one single iPhone.
We kind of cut you off for your music, though. You were telling us about the band, and then I kind of took over.
No, I got there. I just said they were really nerdy because they've got a song about Kaladin Stormless from the Stormlight Archive, and so
you got to send me the Middle Earth link.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you.
I'll check that out.
Okay. Do you do Spotify or Apple Music?
Either one.
Okay.
I want a Middle Earth link. Does it take me just directly there?
Well, no, it's just the music that you listen to with Dave. It's just your pirate music.
I know, but it sounds fun. Like, send me the Middle Earth link. Yeah,
I want a link to Middle Earth too. Yeah.
Happy anniversary, Star Wars.
That's right. It is the Star Wars anniversary. What, tomorrow? I think.
Today.
Or is it today?
I mean, when this comes out, it'll be
past,
days ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to date myself. I saw A New Hope in the theater. I was like 2.5, but I saw it and I remember it and I was obsessed with it.
See, I saw
Star Wars and a Muppet movie are the two earliest movie memories I've got.
See, I saw A New Hope in the theater as well, but when I saw it, it was called A New Hope and it was a special edition. When you saw it,
it was just Star Wars.
It was just Star Wars because there was no other Star Wars yet. There was only one Star War. When you saw it, it was just Star War.
Yeah,
and he rode his horse there.
Yeah,
yeah.
But man, I had both ways. Like bed sheets, curtains. I had all the toys. Like, yeah.
So we had bed sheets when I was a kid that were Star Wars, and I think they were the classic Star Wars bed sheets. And there is a company called Roosevelt's, RSVLTS.
Yes, I have seen this shirt.
They have a shirt that is the sheets.
Yes,
it is the pattern from the sheets, and I want it so bad. Because every time I'm like, I know that makes it really weird. Yeah, for Fan X, we should get matching Roosevelt Star Wars sheet shirts.
They look sweet.
Where's your sheet shirt?
Sheet shirts is a new tongue twister. It'll kill you if you try to say it too fast too many times. It won't kill you, but it'll anyway.
Might get you in trouble.
Yeah, it would get me in trouble.
I was going to say we're talking the episode 3 because Obi-Wan Kenobi's coming out.
Yes,
I'm super excited. 2 episodes drop on Friday.
And I can't. This is a big weekend for little nerd Jake that lives inside big fat Jake, and like he is so excited because Top Gun was one of my favorite movies growing up. So I get to go see a new Top Gun movie in the theater on IMAX. New Obi-Wan series. I love Obi-Wan. He's my favorite character, and episode 3 is probably some of my favorite Obi-Wan Kenobi on the screen. Because he doesn't have the mullet anymore. Or the weird braid thing. He just looks like a cool Jedi.
Like Jesus, like he should.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like Space Jesus, and we're okay with that.
Yeah, totally.
And then if you're into Stranger Things,
I was
season 4 comes out this weekend as well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Stranger Things fan. I've seen the 3, but it's not a must-see for me. But
and on Thursday is a new episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Good things about that.
It is really, really good. If you're a fan of old-time Star Trek, this is a great series.
I grew up on the original Trek, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you'd like this.
And today I watched the first 2 episodes of Miss Marvel.
Oh man.
I can't.
She can't say. There's an embargo.
You can ask me again. You can ask me
again.
Yeah, I thought because I had seen a couple of just general comments about it, so I thought maybe the embargo for social had lifted, but
not for me. I think the social is tomorrow, where I can actually just say something. But I think my review I can't even post until like the 7th, and it comes out the 8th.
Oh wow! So. Okay, all right. Did you get to see the first 2 episodes of Kenobi? Or I'm
not that cool and high up on the list of coolness.
I wonder if that one's
there are many levels of coolness.
You're not the Brian Young.
I got that's when you find out where you're at. You're feeling really good for a while. They send you a Chippendale Rescue Rangers shirt. Just and then you find out that
they shipped it to
me in Florida. And then you find out that you don't get to see Kenobi early, but that's okay. Because I got to see Miss Marvel early. I got to see a couple other Disney things early this week.
Nice.
And I'm just happy to get Kenobi. And this is the thing. This is how much I love my husband. I'm not gonna be home when it airs, and so I'm going to wait and watch it when I get home instead of doing what I usually do and watching it like the minute that it starts. So,
is he going to give the same deal to you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's commitment. That's love.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I love my wife. She doesn't care when I watch it. So I'm planning on staying up late tomorrow night until is it 2 a.m.?
2 a.m.?
Yeah. Either stay up late or get up early, however I want to look at it.
I'm going to see a post from Jake at 3 a.m. Oh my gosh!
And don't freak out if you're listening to this now. We're recording this early, so it's already out. It's already out. It's Monday. It's out. You can watch it. They've probably, both of them have probably watched it 3 times. I don't get home until Tuesday night, so I probably can't watch it till Wednesday.
Are you not going on any social media for those days?
I don't tend to go on the social medias that tell me the spoilers. I don't read any reviews or go to any sites. The people that I follow on Facebook and Instagram are pretty respectful, but I also don't see everybody's stuff just because, like, it's a big world out there in the interwebs. So, but that's like with any movie. I try not to read a review about anything until I write my review. So,
I get that.
And I think you're right. There are some things you can do to avoid spoilers and go on. So, like, spoilers have been around. Social media has been around long enough now that really, honestly, if you get on most of the time and you're constantly getting stuff spoiled for yourself, like, you just have to do life better and you'll be fine.
And I know I'm going to see, like, oh my gosh, I love it. But I already know, like, that's not going to ruin it for me. Half the people I know that love it are on their way to Celebration right now or enjoying Celebration in Anaheim. And I have to go on because I want to live vicariously through them because I forgot to apply for my credentials. But also the company that I work for does Celebration. And so next year I'm hoping to be there not only as press, but also to be working the event.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes. Either way, I'm going to apply. It's just been a little crazy and I forgot because I was, trying to, like, have a job and stuff. But so, I want to follow Celebration people. And then, I don't mind if people go on and say, oh, I loved it or, oh, I hated it. It's the people that are like, oh, this and this happened. And I don't think that I'm friends with those people. So,
no,
that's good.
Probably because they did that at some point. That's why I'm not friends with them.
So, Jake, you and I will have our off conversation on our private channel without Val.
Yeah.
You have a private channel without me?
Well, we have a text conversation that, like, hey,
it's like, how's it going?
Yeah, it's not like, I already feel like we've blown this up into something that it's totally not.
No.
We don't. It's just,
you can be friends without me.
It's not like a
Tracy texts me as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Says, hey,
that's
blah,
what
blah, blah. Tracy is like out of us three, Tracy's like the best person that keeps up with friends. I have to, like, read the Tracy book of friendship to be a better friend because he texts us, and I'm sure other people all the time like, hey, how's your life going? And I'm like, I should probably do that to people. And then I still don't. And then Tracy does it again. And I'm like, I'm a crappy person. I should probably check in on people. And then I still don't.
I am not I am not awkward, I think, socially. Usually when I'm out in public, I do okay. I don't think I've been embarrassing or anything like that. But, like, other social stuff, I just don't know how to do. Like, how to maintain a friendship or a relationship. Nope.
Tracy keeps us together.
Yeah, Tracy is the glue of movies that make us.
He's also the person that gets the most hate mail. It's weird. It's this weird dynamic.
It's true.
It's so odd.
I like that we make it sound like you get bags and bags of hate mail.
You really don't. All right, should we jump in? Should we jump in? Should we actually start talking about the movie now?
What were you guys' thoughts when the prequels came out? Because I remember, and this is so funny. I remember, like, people camping out for days for these movies, like literally camping out in the parking lot of the theater because there wasn't reserved seating, there wasn't early ticket purchases.
Yeah. I was in lines when the tickets were went on sale, and we didn't camp out. We weren't like the first people in line, but I do remember going with my friends, who I haven't talked to in years because, again, see our previous conversation. But I do remember standing in line, getting our tickets to go see episode 1 and just being super excited to go see it. And then when you went to go see it, this was during the phase of going to the theater where, because you, like you said, Tracy, no assigned seating. So you had to come early, like an hour or two early, so that you could make sure you got decent seats when you got into the theater.
Yeah. And the rule was you could only save one seat per person.
Right.
Like, you have a physical body and you could save one seat. You couldn't save like an entire row.
Like, there would be conversations where you would tell your friend, like, "Look, if you're gonna get out of line and go get a soda right now and they let us in, I'm sorry, man. You're gonna be sitting on the front row while we're in good seats. That's on you. You've gotta decide what's important right now."
Yep.
So when Phantom Menace came out in 1999, right?
Yes.
Episode 1, I was 2 years, maybe a year and a half out of USC. But I was doing film school at Slick. And I was still like kind of halfway in the closet about my nerdy stuff. Like not many people knew that I had Star Wars toys. A lot of people knew that I went to film school because of Steven Spielberg, but not necessarily also that specific school because of George Lucas. And I was dating someone who was not a nerd at all. And so it took me a while to go see the first movie in the theater. And I don't even remember who I saw it with. I might have seen it by myself. I don't remember. Or maybe with my dad or my brother or something, like my family kind of knew, but like none of us really made a big deal about it until we all kind of realized that each other was really still into all this stuff. Because when we were younger, me, my brother, my sister, like we had the pop-up books, we had all the toys, like we had all the stuff. But then growing up, like, especially like I'm in dance company and like all this stuff, like it just wasn't a thing where now like dance company dances to Star Wars remixes and like all this stuff. But so unfortunately, when this movie came out when Revenge, not this movie, but when the first one, episode 1 came out, it wasn't such a big deal to me because I wasn't really out of the closet that much as being a nerd. However, when Revenge of the Sith came out, it was really cool because
had you embraced your inner geek?
Well, I had been doing more and more movie stuff. I now had a kid. And she wasn't very old, but whatever. And so it was one that I took her to. And we had watched the 1 and 2 at home, and we both liked 1, and of course we both like Jar Jar. And she doesn't really care for Star Wars anymore, but this was kind of like, this was the movie for me that I was like, I paid attention to all the posters and I paid attention to, like, I really was excited because the changing over to Darth Vader was something I've always wanted to see. Like, I was so excited to see the transformation and just waiting for that. And I remember seeing it 2 or 3 times in the theater. And I was teaching a film critics class at the time. And I had gone to see it with them as well. It was like my 3rd time seeing it, but we all went together. So yeah, this one for me was more of that big experience of, let's go get our tickets. I mean, my parents, for the first 2, we were all like, hey, this is something we can go see in the theater together. We used to watch them all the time at home because none of us were born when the first ones came out. And so
your parents were born?
No, we weren't born.
The kids.
You said my parents and I, and then you said we weren't alive when
me and my brother. My sister was just a teeny tiny thing when the first one came out. Like, she was still pooping her pants. So, but so we went and saw them with like our family and stuff, and I think we did wait in line, to get tickets, and like then waited in line to go in. But it was really this one, like, I was so excited because this was really like, I decided on my own. I didn't need like a whole group of people or my family to say, let's go see it. I was like, I'm
just gonna go.
I'm going to see this movie. And I mean, I went with people, but I followed everything. I read everything. The posters I had downloaded. I think at that time you could have like some kind of, I had like the Motorola phone that you could put the thing on, and in the poster of him with like the light side and the dark side. Like, I just loved it so much. Like, this is the one I really like grabbed onto.
Yeah. See, for me, I have a weird relationship with the prequels because the first one,
Same.
I was born in what I call the VHS generation. Val, also you're part of the VHS generation. Yeah. Growing up watching the trilogy on VHS, we never until the special editions came out, and so I was just excited because there was new Star Wars. And the summer before the movie came out, when all the promotional stuff was coming out, I was working at the movie theater, so we got the first posters. The one, if you remember, where there's Anakin walking in and the shadow is Darth Vader behind him.
Yeah.
And we were all just like, oh, this is going to be so cool and so great. And I still have a soft spot in my heart for episode 1. I know that it's boring at parts. I know that it's long, but because we went and saw it multiple times in the theater, and because that was my first actual Star Wars experience in the theater, it will always be a special thing for me. Episode 2 came out while I was on my mission in Germany for the LDS church. So I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it when I got home. And I have never been able to connect with episode 2. I just can't.
It's so bad. When they had that Star Wars marathon over at Megaplex, like I got stuck with episodes 1 and 2. I'm like, I fell asleep in 2. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
I have tried to watch it multiple times, and I've seen it all the way through.
Right.
I just haven't been able to connect with it. But episode 3, again, because we saw the end of the story arc, and I felt like it was just, I think it, out of the prequels, I think it's the best out of the 3 prequels. And it was that culmination of all the storytelling, Clone Wars, everything led up to what happens in episode 3.
Right.
So, and I remember seeing that multiple times in the theater with a different group of friends, because again, maintaining relationships is hard.
Tough. Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting too, because like there was a lot of backlash against these films when they came out. And I understand why, because these were made, the people who, like me, who saw it as kids and grew up with it, then George Lucas was like kind of recreating. He was putting out the prequels for the kids that were kids now, not the adults, especially with like Jar Jar and some of that stuff. And so there was like this huge backlash. And it's interesting because I read like an interview with Hayden Christensen, and he talks about how it was really upsetting for a long time that they got so much hate for it. But then as he's gotten older and as the audience has gotten older, people are coming up to him saying, I love these movies when I was a kid. These made such a difference to me. And it's found like this different audience. So I think that's an interesting dichotomy. And then you've got people who like hate what do we call them? The sequels?
Yeah, almost. The sequels.
I was hit or miss with those, but overall, I just really enjoy the Star Wars universe. And of course, now we've got Mandalorian, and we've got Boba Fett, and we're coming out with Ahsoka, and we've got Obi-Wan, and there's some good stuff out there. So
I did a poll on TikTok a while back on which you prefer, the sequels or the prequels, and the prequels won by a landslide. Like, it wasn't even close. I think the 15 to 20 years that has passed since the prequels came out has really, a lot of those kids that went to the theaters and saw it, and this was their Star Wars, are now older and in the fandom. And it's funny because as they were growing up and defending the prequels against all of us old school people that were like, they're awful and they're horrible and you just don't like good cinema. I'm not saying that any of us here were that negative, but there was a lot of that backlash. There was a
huge backlash. Yeah.
And these prequel fans for a long time had to feel like, well, I loved them, and now they're doing the same thing to the sequels, and it's just funny how that happens. And I think so my kids are going to grow up with the sequels as the Star Wars movies that they went and saw in the theater. And in 15 to 20 years from now, are they going to look back on it and say, yeah, the sequels were actually really, really good movies? I don't know.
Yeah, they're like, Rise of Skywalker is way better than Empire Strikes Back.
And then it will be sad, but I'll never see them at Christmas or Thanksgiving again. I'm just, if you love Rise of Skywalker, I'm sorry that I said that. I'm not sorry that you love it. That's fine. Love what you love, and that's great. That will be the last negative thing I say about any Star Wars movies.
You're not coming to Thanksgiving dinner at Jake's house.
Well, we don't. Yeah. Besides, I probably won't even be talking to you by that point anyway. But anyway.
Wow.
So I'm just kidding.
But I think
like The Last Jedi. I think with time, more and more people are going to say it's a better movie than it got credit for. I think it's the best after Empire Strikes Back, personally. And then probably Revenge of the Sith is in there. No, A New Hope has to go in there too because it's really good.
You got to throw in Rogue One. I love Rogue One.
Okay, Rogue One's fine,
but I thought it was great.
I think Rogue One's really good, but for me, like I rank the 9 Star Wars movies separately than like Solo and Rogue One.
Okay, that
works. The Skywalker saga and then everything else. So
sure. But I think this one is held up the best.
Yes.
Although some of the special effects are really, like, I rewatched it this evening before we discussed it, and like some of these graphics just don't hold up, and it's just because Lucas got so enamored with the technology, especially in 2. It was like, oh my gosh, I can do all these things that we couldn't do before, and that kind of took over the story. With 3, I felt like he got the story back on track. It has less. I don't know. It doesn't feel as stuffed as some of the other episodes in terms of things happening on screen.
It is also one of the most quoted episodes out of all of the movies in the franchise as well. So,
yeah, you can't. If anybody says anything about high ground, like if they're like, "Oh, it's flooding, seek the high ground," and I'm immediately going to think of Obi-Wan and Anakin in the middle of the flood.
One of my favorite memes is from the Winnie the Pooh movie that Ewan McGregor was in. Christopher Robin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they have Pooh standing like on the cupboard, and it's like, "Give up, I have the high ground." Like, the thought of Pooh having the high ground, that makes me laugh.
Well, all of that whole scene, like, then there's the whole conversation between Padme and Anakin, and then Obi-Wan shows up, and like all of that is so quotable. I agree, Val. I think it is the most quoted and one of the more quotable movies.
What I Love You and I Know probably beats it out.
Sure.
But like it's in the top 3 for sure out of all the Star Wars movies.
I love when the Palpatine reveals himself to Mace Windu, and he's shooting the lightning, and his face is like this total rubber mask, and he's like, "Unlimited power," and he's just like so over the top, but it works.
Yeah, that whole scene, I love to just like mimic it. Like so this is what happens at my house when I watch this movie, because my husband seems to think that Obi-Wan gets knocked down in every movie, so he needs to be a better Jedi. And I'm like, stop talking about Obi-Wan that way. And then I mock everyone else from the movie. And he's like, "Oh, so it's okay for you to mock the movie." And I said, "But I'm not mocking Obi-Wan."
Yes.
So there's a difference between me making fun of anybody else in the movie.
Dave. Read the room.
Dave's more than welcome.
Read the room.
he is more than welcome to mock any character in the movie, as long as they're not Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like that's the rule.
Right. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
like I'll
absolutely.
even mock Darth Vader, with
no.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because leading up to it is some of the most powerful filmmaking Lucas has ever done. When you have laying on the bed and the robots are doing all the surgical stuff and he's moaning, and then you have the shot from point of view from Anakin when he looks up and that mask is slowly coming down.
Yes.
Tingles. Like that's what I waited for my whole life. Yeah. And then they turn to the side and they go, and then it's just the sheen. And you're just like, oh, like
it was awesome.
Yeah. There's no music, and all of a sudden you hear the whoop with the vacuum being sealed, and then the breathing, and you're just like, yes. And then he does the no, and it's like, oh, George, you were right there.
It's very Frankenstein monster thing, like
Yes.
pulling off the thing, which I mean wasn't bad, but I was just like, honestly, you could have the movie could have been done right there, like and then out
and just end it. I mean, I think I get where they're going with the Frankenstein thing because they're new limbs. He's never used them before. I get it. But I agree,
and it's a new monster that's just been created. So like I get all the things.
Yeah, but it just doesn't work in the moment. Yeah. Like I get what they were going for. It just didn't work.
I saw an interview with Ewan McGregor a couple days ago, and he was talking about how they were filming down in Australia for episodes 2 and 3. And he invited some friends down to come hang out with him. And he said, it's the last day of shooting. And we're shooting the scene where I am giving baby Luke to Uncle Ben or to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. You guys need to come see this because this is like Star Wars history. And he said, so his friends showed up and they go into the studio and it's like green screen everywhere.
Yeah.
Like everything's green screen. And he goes, I'm supposed to be writing on this creature. And he goes, they didn't even have like a mechanized creature for me. It was like a sawhorse. And so he said, I had to sit on this sawhorse, which was not comfortable. And I had to pretend like I was writing. And then I get off of it and hand a fake baby to this other actor in front of the green screen. And my friends are like, this is what you do for a living?
Yeah.
That's the best cosplay ever. Like just Obi-Wan and like that little wooden horse that we all had when we were younger with like the really, really awful braided hair that I don't even know what that texture was of the hair on that horse, but we all had one.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, and you alluded to this earlier, Tracy, when you talked about the visual effects and some of the graphics in the movie that like the movie overall holds up, but some of the graphics don't hold up as well. Yeah. And I think it's really interesting because George Lucas with Star Wars kind of set that precedent of we're really pushing the boundaries with special effects and the technology that was available. And it worked really, really well in the original trilogy with what they did and what they accomplished. I mean, nobody had heard of Industrial Light and Magic before Star Wars. And now like
commercials. Yeah.
Now anytime you're doing any movie with special effects, if you can get them to come and do it, it's awesome. And I think it was the same thing. CGI was a newer thing to the capacity that he was using it. And I think he wanted to push the envelope again. And in this case, it just didn't work as well. Yeah. Like there are just scenes in this movie when they're in space and like the space battles, they're intense, they're great, they're amazing. But I never feel like we're actually really in space.
Yeah, there's like these like particle explosions and it's like, ooh, that didn't hold up well.
Yeah. Well, even when they're just in the cockpit and they're showing them in the cockpit, it feels like they are in a green screen type room.
Totally. When like
and you don't get that feeling in the original trilogy. Like when Luke's in the cockpit, you feel like he's in the cockpit, and you know that he's not. I get it. Like in all of the movies, I know they're not actually in space.
In Top Gun, they're actually in the planes. Just wanted to let you know.
Can we talk for a minute though about how we all felt when the youngling scene happened?
My gosh.
Like for the first time when you first like took that in. Like because you can do a bunch of other things and be evil and we can still like you, but they basically said like we are gonna push your love for this character past the point where it's gonna be okay, and are you still gonna like this character? And we do, even though he kills children. He kills children.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was
while they're looking at him, facing him, like probably crapping their pantses and crying, and he still kills them.
Yeah, that flick of the lightsaber. I'm like, I watched that tonight, and I'm like, oh, this is a rough day because
this is not a good day to watch that scene.
I didn't even think about that, but like, I'm sorry if that was insensitive. But like for me as a Star Wars fan, outside of that, I try and keep everything else outside of our podcast because it's a good place to be is here. But like I was really surprised at the time when that movie came out that that they were testing us that far for this, because we all love the villain, right? Like, let's look at the Disney villains. We all love the villains, right? And Darth Vader was built up to be like a hero villain in some weird way. We all, right? And
everybody
then you
loves Darth Vader,
and then you give us Anakin. That's the reason why he became the villain, and that was to save the one woman that he loved, because his mom is dead and like everything he loves is gone, and he loves this woman more than anything. Now she's gonna have babies. He dreams that she dies in childbirth, and all he wants to do is save the love of his life.
Right.
And he does anything to do it, like goes past the point where you would say, like, I love people a lot, but would you go that far? If someone said, I will save the person you love, but you just have to do this one awful, awful, awful thing.
Well, in that moment, there are a few moments to me that define Darth Vader as the big bad, right? And because in the original trilogy, I'll be honest, compared to a lot of other villains that we've seen on screen, in the original trilogy, he's kind of tame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, but this moment where he kills the younglings, and then the scene in Rogue One where he shows up, are two of the scenes where you're like, no, he really is the big bad. Like, he is. But that moment was so powerful too, because up to this point, as he's turning to the dark side, you're sympathetic a little bit to his cause. Like, the Jedi are kind of like you can see from his point of view how the Jedi are corrupt and they're lying and they're whatever, and you can kind of sympathize with them a little bit. But then in that moment, you're like, no, he is absolutely the villain. Like, there is, like, I lost all sympathy for the character at that point, because he was evil. I mean, he had gone completely evil.
And then his best friend had to take him out. Like, that's a hard moment. Like, that whole moment where where Obi-Wan has to tell Padme, like, he's gone to the dark side. He killed younglings. And she's just like, there's no way.
It can't be right.
That can't be right. And then she sees it when he comes back. She sees it in his eyes, and like, how heartbreaking do you have because you are in love with this person, you're carrying their babies, and you have seen that they're not them anymore. Like, you see that. And then for Obi-Wan, I mean, he fought with Qui-Gon, like his mentor. He promised he would lead, the chosen one to where he needed to be. And, he was the chosen one that would bring, it was just the wrong side. He brought balance. It was the wrong side.
They just misread that prophecy completely.
Yeah. And I think that's so cool. Just when you look outside of that, like, so you've got all of these, thoughts and these practices of, this belief on, we want to bring balance and we want to do all these things, and we have this prophecy, and they knew it, but they didn't see that it was that side, because they saw what they wanted to see. And for something that big, that powerful, to make that big of a mistake, like, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
It's the hubris.
It is. So in the original trilogy, it is clear cut. You've got the good, you've got the evil. There's not a lot of mixing it. And what I really like about the prequels, going back and watching them now, and especially in episode 3, is you do see the corruption in the Jedi Council. You do see how that hubris and that pride is what's bringing them down.
You guys started off with some good ideas, but it hasn't aged well.
And that can happen with any organization. When people get involved, people are corrupt sometimes.
We mess everything up.
Yeah, it's just what happens. And it was cool to see that. And then it's cool to have that connection in The Last Jedi when Luke's talking about the fall of the Jedi Order and the hubris, and that's what brought them down. And it's cool to connect all of that together.
So I'm really interested with Obi-Wan, because I want to see what I want to see in that one. Is one scene that I really want to see is when he learns that Anakin survived.
Yeah.
Because dude, cold-blooded, like leaves his friend with no limbs and on fire and just turns and walks away. I'm like,
I mean, that couldn't have been easy. Like,
no,
there's no way it was easy. And
Absolutely.
then to make sure that those babies are safe and taken care of. And I love that they called back the original actors.
Yeah.
You know, that played his aunt and uncle, young aunt and uncle, are now back in this series. I love that they did that. You know, but yeah, I really want to see that when he finds out, you know, that he is alive. But do you think that he felt it, like that he didn't die all the way? I don't know.
I'm interested to see. Yeah.
Because they were so connected.
Because this is like 10 years after episode 3. So I don't know if he knows. I'm guessing he doesn't, but I could be wrong.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out for sure.
I'm excited for that.
I am too. I thought when you said they brought back the original actors, I thought you meant the babies. Like they were going to play Luke and Leia in this, and that would have just been awesome. I really want that to be true.
I don't know about that.
But I'm excited for the series because it's being directed by Deborah Chow, who did some of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian. She did incredible work on Breaking Bad. I believe she did a couple episodes of Game of Thrones. Like, this lady knows her stuff. And I think it's interesting because usually we get a different director every episode, and she's directing all 6 by herself. So I'm really interested to see it, and it'll be fun to get Ewan McGregor back.
I'm excited to see it for a lot of those reasons, but also because you mentioned Ewan McGregor, he's excited to be back.
I know. I'm so happy that he finally has embraced like Obi-Wan. And I get that it was hard. I get it. I get that it was hard for both of them. And it's so funny because at the time, like, I wasn't tuned in to like all that stuff as much as I am now. And I try to stay out of it as much as I can. But at the time, I was just so happy to be like liking Star Wars publicly, as much as that meant back then. Like, it wasn't what it means now, but that I didn't realize that people hated them so bad, these movies so bad, until years later, because I didn't like, I read some like movie magazines, but they don't necessarily put that kind of stuff in it, right? And so I didn't understand that people hated it so much until later.
Part of the problem was that these movies came out right when the internet was kind of getting started. So all you really had was like message boards and as we know, message boards are not, comment section is not a good place to go hardly ever.
We weren't as refined and civilized online as we are now.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So I think that fueled a lot of it. Like, Jake Lloyd was getting death threats.
Yeah, Jake Lloyd, like, that kid has been through it. Like, it was awful.
Like
Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks,
he was suicidal for a while.
I'm sorry, but Star Wars fans are the worst.
They
are like, I am just so happy to have what we have. And I get it. Like, I'm not, you can say, well, you weren't there from the beginning when you were really little and you didn't read all the books. No, I haven't read the books.
Oh my God.
And whatever, like, I had the toys, but it's not a competition. I love what George Lucas has given us. And I love the fact that so many people got behind it, because in the first couple of movies, the crew, the people that built all those sets and worked all those hours got paid almost nothing to make these movies so that we could have what they are. Like, for me, that's just so amazing that they created something and people were just laughing, like, what the heck are you doing? Right. And he saw his friend Steven Spielberg almost fail at Jaws with all of that difficulty, and they both made amazing movie franchises.
Changed the world.
That so like, I just, like, I get that it's not the story you wanted to get made, so grow up and be a filmmaker. Like, you chose to be something else.
Make your story. Go out there, do it.
Yeah.
But I think bringing up Steven Spielberg with Jaws and then George Lucas with Star Wars brings up an important point. There is a common thread there, and that is John Williams and his amazing score, which carries throughout this movie in particular. I mean, all of the Star Wars movies. He's fantastic.
No, but this movie introduces so many different things. It brings you back to the original Star Wars songs that we loved, but then it really brought us into, you know, the different music of this movie. It's so good. Such a good score.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jake. He's a living legend. He did the theme for Kenobi.
Yes, which
So
means it'll be amazing.
Theme music for it. He didn't do the whole score, but for the series, but he wrote the theme. So but I'm with you. I love seeing interviews with both Hayden Christensen and with Ewan McGregor, and they're so excited to be back and to be together and to be working together. And like Ewan McGregor said, the first couple days on set, he forgot how to talk like Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he was like, I'm just kind of doing this vague Scottish accent. And I'm like, no, that's not right. So he went back and watched the prequels and then watched.
I mean, it's been a minute.
In order to get that voice back. And he's like, oh, okay, now I got it. All right.
That was it Vanity Fair that had the picture out with Ewan McGregor and Pedro Pascal, and you had Ahsoka on there and like all on the cover. And that
was Vanity Fair, yeah.
Such an amazing, like, I want that picture just to frame and put on my wall because it just Ewan McGregor looks so amazing as Obi-Wan. Like I am so excited to see this.
Perfect casting. And the fact that he's an amazing actor. And that's so frustrating to me too, because like Ewan McGregor, everybody was like, okay, he's a good actor. And Natalie Portman had already established that she was a really good actress in some of her earlier work, like The Professional and some stuff like that. But like Hayden Christensen got a ton of crap, and he's not the greatest actor ever. But like, if you haven't seen, go and check out the small independent film Shattered Glass, where he plays the true story of a reporter who makes up a bunch of stories for a magazine. It's fantastic, and he's really good in it.
Also, Life is a House. Like, I could watch that movie all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people don't understand that he actually is a decent actor who took the direction he was given and did it. Like, he played the role the way that George Lucas wanted him to play the role. The stiffness, the weird dialogue, all of that was not Hayden Christensen.
Right. That is choices from the director. And yeah, there's a lot not to like about the prequels, but I think the performances are what carry it.
I agree. And especially between those two, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, Obi-Wan and Anakin, the chemistry they have. And I think that's the other reason it's so fun to see them together in these interviews, because you can tell they're still friends and they're still like, and they were both excited to be part of it when they were part of it. And then the fans made them not excited to have been part of it. And that sucks.
But now they're
excited, and it's still happening.
So it's like it's come back. It's circled back. Now they're excited about it again. So I'm really excited. One quick thing that we have not discussed, and this is something that drives me crazy whenever I watch this movie, is like when Padma is giving birth, and then the robot nurse is like, she's lost the will to live. And I'm like, you have two beautiful, healthy children. You got to protect them from your awful, husband. But she's
a broken heart, man.
I know, but that part just, like if she were to just die during childbirth, like that would be more preferable to me than she just like gave up the will to live. Like that line just drives me crazy.
What drives me crazy about that scene is, why do they have these scoopies as hands? There's no thumbs. There's nothing to grab onto. You're just supposed to scoop the baby up, and the baby's not going to go anywhere. You're just like pancaking, like in these mitts, like the little scoopies. What are the scoopies?
I don't. What drives me nuts, and it's funny that we each have things that drive us nuts about this scene. But what drives me nuts is the fact that it was twins and a boy and a girl was a surprise. I'm like, hold on. You guys could do hyper jump, light speed.
But she didn't tell people that she was pregnant.
I guess, but
she didn't go on the Tic Tac and do like the gender reveal.
I know, but
have like matching outfits.
But you don't have to do. But like
the whole, like all the senators.
That would be
go to the local mall and go to Fetal Photo and find out what your baby is, and nobody has to know.
She couldn't tell anyone.
What about when they bring her in and they're like, okay, she's in labor. They didn't do a scan. They didn't, they're just like, oh, there's the baby. And she makes weird cooing noises. And she's like, ooh-ah, ooh-ah.
Yeah.
So that whole scene is just, I think,
it just doesn't work.
There's a lot of things that are odd about it.
Yeah.
But the scene leading up to that, the lightsaber duel, I think is amazing. That duel between Obi-Wan and
childbirth.
Anakin.
We want to see people die.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, she does die, but not like we want.
Right.
Yeah.
That lightsaber battle and the Duel of the Fates in the first one, those are my two favorite lightsaber battles of all the movies.
Yeah. And I just, it's so funny because you watch that and then you watch the last lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Yeah, and then it's like, and then he's gone. And then he's gone. That's it. That's the lightsaber fight.
Do you guys think we're going to get Liam Neeson doing Qui-Gon in the
as a Force ghost or what?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I noticed in this one, because Yoda says, I've got training for you, and says Qui-Gon figured out how to do it.
I'm not going to get myself excited because it's just going to be another Shang-Chi incident where I'm going to be like, yeah, this makes total sense because they've set it up in the other movies for him to be here as a Force ghost. And I love Qui-Gon. He's one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe of all time. But if he doesn't show up, then I'm going to be super disappointed. So I'm not even trying to think about it, Tracy.
All right. Sorry.
I think it's
we'll edit that out of this podcast.
I think it's a possibility. I will go there. Val doesn't have to, but I'll go there and say, I think it's a possibility because they've been pretty open about who's in it so far, like saying that Hayden Christensen's going to be in it and that Darth Vader will be in it. They're going to have a surprise in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're going to have something like the baby Grogu moment.
Well, and now that Padme is Thor, I feel like she's done her time.
Yeah. I don't think she'll be back.
No.
Well, she's dead.
I'm just saying, like,
she's not a
for that awful scene that she's in. Now she's Thor.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
and I can't tell you how excited I am for that movie.
Right there.
Did you guys watch the trailer that came out yesterday?
Yes, it was amazing. Made me even more excited. I'm
going to see if I can get us all there. Us all there to the pre-screening. I'm going to try real hard.
I will tell you this much right now about that. That movie will have to suck really, really bad and just be the worst piece of garbage ever for me to hate it.
Yeah.
Because I am that excited about it. I'm that convinced it's going to be good. Like,
I don't even care if Shang-Chi is in it. I'll still like it.
That's something. That's saying
really
something right there.
He's not going to be in this one. I don't see
but
it.
If a whole bunch of people jump through portals and he's not one of them, I'm going to have words.
Again, they've been really open about who is in it, so there's got to be some surprise. So maybe Shang-Chi does show up.
If he shows up and we're all in the theater together, I'm going to stand up and be like, boom! And then I'm going to sit back down. In your face!
And then Ty's just going to say, it's really Mephisto or whatever. Ty, stop trying to make Mephisto happen, all right? I can't even say the name.
I'm just doing a podcast.
We love you, Ty.
We love you, Ty. I know. He's in Disney this week, so
Dave thought something was wrong. He came in here and I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
We're good. Everybody's fine.
Just doing a podcast over here.
Okay, I'm going to try and get out to Ty's food truck on Saturday. He's going to be at the Lehigh.
You got to do it. If he has the burger with the pineapple on it,
I want to try that one.
The meat pie is good. The fish and chips are.
Because a lot of his stuff is like way down in Utah County, which I don't go down to. But I'm like, Lehigh?
I try not to go there either.
Yeah.
Lehigh's still too far down in Utah County for me.
It's to me, that's like right on the edge. Like past Lehigh.
You're on vacation. That's what Sammy says.
Yeah.
We're on vacation, right?
Like you get through. It's true. You get through Lehigh, and it's like we might as well just go all the way to St. George now. We're almost there.
It used to be like once we passed IKEA, we were on vacation. But now there's so much stuff that's past IKEA, we had to move
further down.
Yeah. All right.
We get a grade.
Are we gonna grade this movie?
I think we should.
Well, that's what we do with every movie we talk about.
But but is it time?
Yes. Okay. Yes, it's time. Val, why don't we start with you?
I give this one a solid B.
All right.
Solid B.
All right.
Solid B. And I can watch it. I get excited about it. Again, there, like Tracy said, rewatching it again today after not seeing it for like a year, because I watch it at least once a year. Mm-hmm. Just there are some CGI things that don't quite get it. And then the Scoopies, they're kind of like, they're getting to be like the hot dog fingers. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird for me. But no, I love the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. And I don't know. I think in this specific episode, even in that weird birth scene, Natalie Portman, like, she puts everything into it. The acting in this one is fantastic. Really and the way that they set up from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, the close relationship, almost father-son, older brother, younger brother, whatever you want it to be between the two. Right. It's there, and you really want it to not be there. Like, you feel the betrayal, and you feel the hurt, and you feel everything that's going on. I'm gonna say B+. It's a solid B+ for me. I'm gonna add a little plussy plus on there.
All right, I'm good with that. Tracy,
if they remove the scoops, would it go up to A-?
No, it's still a B+.
I'll go with a solid B. Originally, I was thinking B-, but over the conversation, I'll bump it up to a B. It is by far the best of the prequels. Topher Grace evidently put together an edited version of the prequels and made it like a 3.5 hour movie, and took all three and condensed it down to like 3.5 hours.
Wow. Where's this? Where can we watch that?
He made it for his friends, and it's never gone public. But
Jake, could you become friends with him, Jake? Come on.
His celebrity status is getting to the point where I probably could swing that.
I mean, Tracy's better at being a friend. Tracy, get on that.
Well, yeah, I don't have to be his friend for long, just long enough to get the cut.
Get in there.
Yeah.
But I've heard it's fantastic. And to me, that's the problem, is like you should have started episode 2 like just before his mom gets killed, because then he gets really interesting. Up until that, he's just kind of like this moody teenager. Even this one has some extra fluff, but it's the best of the three. I'll give it a solid B.
Whenever you talk about his mom dying, I just think about his whole complaint about sand and how much he hates sand, and it's just the worst. And anyway,
it's annoying and it gets everywhere.
Yeah. I will give this one a B as well. I agree, it's the best of the prequels. I have 3 Star Wars movies that I would give an A to in the Skywalker saga.
Okay.
And this is 2 of them are in the original trilogy, 1 of them's in the sequels, and this is a B, and the top in the prequels for me. I will say this, however, I will knock it down to a C if Mace Windu comes back in any form or fashion in a series, or I want him to just stay dead. He can come back as a Force ghost. I'm fine with that.
Right.
But if they bring him back any other way,
there are way too many characters that fall out of windows or fall into pits that come back, and it's just,
if you want to survive in a Star Wars movie, jump off a cliff or down a pit, and you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. It's going to be okay.
Fine. They all come back.
Darth Maul, Emperor Palpatine. Maybe it's a Sith thing. Like the Sith can survive.
Darth Maul shows us you could get cut literally in half and fall down a pit, and you'll still be fine. You'll be fine. Get some robot legs on there, and you're good to go.
You're good to go. You just start over.
Yeah, but no, it's a fun movie. I really enjoy Revenge of the Sith. I'm excited to see where the story goes from here with Obi-Wan, and I think it'll be entertaining. And that's what I want it to be.
Yeah. We should hop on to Multiplane and discuss Obi.
Yeah. I think when we get to like episode 5.
5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's only 6 episodes and we're getting 2 on the first day. So this is what's going to tide me over until Better Call Saul comes back.
I've tried to watch that, and I've tried to watch the other one, and I just can't do it.
And it ended, and they didn't mean this when they were making it, but it ended on total cliffhanger, and now I've got to wait till July.
They didn't mean for that to happen.
They totally meant for that to happen.
They didn't know that they were going to split it up into 2 parts. So they were thinking the next episode would go the next week, and then the AMC people were like, if we split this into 2 parts, then we make more money. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. It'll be good. Uncle Owen, he's got some great, well, at least one really good burn on Obi-Wan in the trailer, and I love it. He's going to need to be trained like you trained his father.
Ooh.
Mic drop.
With that, we're out.
Yeah. All right. You guys can follow us everywhere on social media. We are at Movies That Make Us, except on Twitter. We are at Movies Make Us. You can send us feedback at podcast@moviesthatmakeus.com. And you can also just give us feedback on our episode on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you happen to listen or watch. We always want your feedback. Until next time.
For all the hate mail, bring it.
Yeah. He gets a lot, but he's got thick skin. He's got thick skin. Tracy can take it. As long as it's not about his hair or his age, he's fine.
Otherwise, yeah. Those two
and
things.
I know those are easy targets, and that's why, aim higher, guys. Aim higher.
Get the high ground.
Take the high ground. That's right. All right. Until next time, we won't see you at the movies. Bye.
This has been a Stolen Droids Media production.